Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really interesting source material today. It digs into how all these new technologies are, well, changing pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're talking smart tech, mobile stuff, and cloud computing. That's the big engine behind a lot of it.
Exactly. So our mission here is to unpack how this tech shows up, day to day.
Yeah.
In our homes, when we travel.
How we shop, retail definitely, and banking too. We'll cover those based on what the sources say.
And then, like you said, a good look at cloud computing because it seems so, well, fundamental now.
It really is. What jumps out from the material is just how fast this is all growing. It's touching almost, every part of life.
Okay, so the plan is to look at the applications, the benefits for you, the listener, and for businesses, and importantly, the disadvantages too, the risks.
Right, the whole picture.
All right, let's dive in. Starting right at home, smart technology. That's basically the Internet of Things, isn't it? IoT.
That's the term, yeah. The material basically defines it as physical things, objects that are connected to the internet. So they can talk to each other, exchange data.
Like smart lights, smart thermostats, security systems, stuff you control with, say, an Amazon Echo or maybe just an app.
Exactly. Those are the common examples. And they're becoming, well, really common.
And why? What are the big benefits the material points to?
Well, remote access is a huge one because they're online. You can control them from anywhere.
Like seeing who's at the door when you're out.
Yeah, or talking to them. Or adjusting the heating on your way home. Even just making it look like someone's in when you're on holiday lights on, TV on.
That remote control piece sounds super convenient. Does it link to saving energy or money too?
It can, yeah. Smart plugs can show you what's using power. Smart thermostats learn your habits. Or you can set a vacation mode. Devices can switch off automatically. Little things add up.
And ease of use. I mean, voice control seems like a big part of it.
It is. Or just using your phone. That's really helpful for people with maybe mobility issues. And setting up routines.
Routines.
Yeah, like your alarm goes off, the smart speaker gives you the news, tells the coffee machine to start, that kind of thing. Real convenience.
That actually sounds pretty appealing. What about safety, security?
Big improvements possible there. Smart smoke detectors can pinpoint the location. Video doorbells let you see who's there, record things, act as a deterrent.
Right. And you mentioned the vacation mode for lights.
Yeah, simulating occupancy. Plus, smart sensors on doors, windows, alerts if they're opened. Some systems even use geofencing to open your garage as you drive up.
And big appliances, like fridges or washing machines.
Some can monitor themselves for problems, yeah. Tell you exactly what needs fixing. Super handy.
Okay, so lots of potential upsides, but what's the catch? The material must mention downsides.
Oh, definitely. Cost is one. They're usually pricier than the dumb versions.
Do they need Wi-Fi, right? Always.
Absolutely critical. No internet, and your smart home isn't very smart anymore. It just stops working.
And setting it all up, getting everything connected.
Can be time-consuming, yeah. And frustrating. There isn't one single standard, so you get compatibility headaches. Might need like 5 different apps.
Yeah.
Another risk the material brings up, what if the company that makes your smart lock goes bust?
Hadn't thought of that. Your device could just stop working. No support.
Potentially, yeah. No updates, no parts. And the big one, of course, privacy and security. Anything online can be hacked.
That seems like a theme we'll probably keep coming back to. Okay, let's switch gears. Travel. Airports seem like a hotbed for this stuff.
Yeah, automation is huge there. Self-check-in is everywhere now online, mobile boarding passes, kiosks at the airport.
And dropping your bags off yourself, too.
Automated bag drops, exactly. Weighing, tagging, putting it on the belt.
The main benefit for you, the traveler, is speed, right? Avoiding queues.
Mostly, yeah. Though the material points out you often still need a quick document check. But usually there are dedicated lanes, so it's faster.
And for the airlines, it's efficiency.
Definitely. Handling more people faster helps them cope with rising passenger numbers. And it makes the whole airport process less stressful for you. Fewer steps.
Plus, savings for them. Less staff needed at desks.
Right. Operational savings. And those staff can be moved, maybe to help elsewhere improve service. Plus, kiosks just take up less room than big check-in desks.
Are there drawbacks mentioned?
There are. Sometimes, if your flight changes, getting the system to reopen the digital ticket can cause delays. And those self-service bag drops, they can still get jammed up at busy times. Bottlenecks.
And teething problems when they first roll them out?
Oh, yeah. Snapping passengers learning the ropes. And safety, it's rare, but the material mentions the theoretical risk, like a child getting onto a conveyor belt, though there are safety stops and sensors.
Okay, moving from air to rail, smart ticketing is changing things there too.
Big time. Using your phone, basically. Digital barcodes for e-tickets, travel cards loaded onto your device.
So much easier than queuing for a paper ticket.
Huge convenience. Buy in advance, skip the queue, just scan your phone at the gate. Easy for ticket inspectors, too. And you can keep multiple tickets for a journey all in one place.
Does it help with planning, too?
Yeah, apps often integrate planning, and some can even figure out the cheapest fare combination for your trip automatically.
Nice. And the train operators benefit how?
Lower costs, fewer ticket office staff. And they get really valuable data on how people are traveling, which helps them plan services better.
Downsides. Hacking must be a worry.
It is. Customer data loss is a real risk. And some people just aren't comfortable using smartphones for everything, so it can be off-putting.
And fraud. Could someone copy the barcodes?
That's a potential risk, the material notes, yeah, if the system isn't secure enough.
What about knowing when your train or bus is actually coming? Real-time info.
Yeah, lots of apps use GPS trackers on buses and trains now. Shows you exactly where it is, when it'll arrive. Often displayed on smart signs at the stops, too.
That's brilliant for cutting down waiting time. Less uncertainty.
Definitely the main benefit for you. The big frustration, though.
Let me guess, internet connection.
Exactly. If the connection drops, the system fails, and you're back to just hoping. Which is worse if you're relying on that precise time.
Okay, so that covers home and travel. What about retail and banking? Self-checkouts in shops are probably the most obvious example in retail.
Ubiquitous now, aren't they? SKOs, where you scan, weigh, pay yourself. Usually with a staff member overseeing a few machines.
Benefits for the store are pretty clear. Less staff needed per transaction, save space. What about for us, the shoppers?
Well, less contact, which became a bigger deal recently. Contactless payment helps there too. Speed is often cited, though. Debatable sometimes.
True. Sometimes it feels slower.
And they usually offer multiple languages, which is helpful.
What are the negatives?
The material points out they're often not great for disabled customers. And those repetitive voice prompts, unexpected item in bagging area, drives you mad.
Oh, I know that one well.
Plus, they apparently make shoplifting easier. Those stores are using things like video recording. Now, the UK example was mentioned.
And mistakes, like scanning the wrong thing.
Yeah, that can mess up the store's inventory records. Stock levels get skewed.
Is there an alternative, like scanning as you go?
Self-scanning, yeah. You use a handheld scanner or sometimes an app, bag your stuff as you walk around. They just pay at a dedicated kiosk.
That sounds more efficient.
It can be for you, yeah. And again, save space for the store, just small payment points needed.
And then there's the really futuristic stuff like Amazon Go, checkout free.
Right. Use an app to get in, cameras and sensors track what you pick up, and you just walk out automatically charged.
Maximum convenience for the shopper.
So, and minimal staff needed for the store. But the tech dependency is huge. Downtime would be chaos. And the potential for theft seems, well, much higher.
Okay, something less visible perhaps? Beacon technology. What's that about?
These are little wireless gizmos. They send out Bluetooth signals that apps on your nearby phone can pick up.
And what do they do?
Lots of things, potentially. Proximity marketing is key, sending you an offer for something when you're right there in that aisle.
Or maybe a discount voucher as you walk past the shop?
Exactly, to tempt you in. Stores can also use the data on where people walk to optimize the layout.
So that's a store benefit mostly.
Primarily. But a better layout helps you too. They can also power indoor mapping on an app, helping you find that specific product in a massive store.
Okay, that's useful.
They can also trigger smart ads. Like if your shopping list app knows you need bread, it might prompt you about butter when you're nearby.
Clever. Maybe a bit creepy.
Potentially, yeah. They can link online and offline too, prompt you to check in on social media for an offer or show reviews, and notify you about in-store events if you're close by.
So loads of applications. What are the problems?
Well, signals can get blocked, blind spots. So you might get irrelevant notifications, or they arrive too late.
And getting bombarded with messages.
Big risk. If it's too pushy, you'll just turn notifications off completely. Then there's hacking, privacy, the usual suspects.
How does privacy work with beacons specifically?
Data compromise is one risk, but the material highlights how intrusive it can feel, especially as many people don't realize their location within the store is being tracked so precisely via their phone's location services or Bluetooth being on.
Right, that tracking feels different, less transparent.
Exactly. And there's a concern that retailers want to track everyone, not just app users, and that this tracking data, these codes, might get sold on.
Okay, let's move to chatbots. They seem to be popping up everywhere online.
They are. software designed to mimic human chat for customer service. Website pop-ups, in-apps, text messages.
Big benefit. They're always available, right? 24/7 support.
Huge plus for customers, yeah. No waiting for office hours. And they can remember you. Makes repeat orders faster, like automatically knowing your usual coffee order. They can suggest related products, help you finish a purchase.
Can they help in physical stores too?
Sometimes, yeah. Maybe via an app, helping you find where something is or if it's in stock. And they're great for sending automatic delivery updates.
And for the business, they must save time.
Massively. They can handle tons of simple, routine questions efficiently, frees up human agents. Or they can assist human agents by finding info quickly.
Do they actually help sell things?
They can, yeah, by making recommendations. And they're good at quickly gathering the basic details if you have a complaint.
And language barriers.
Many are multilingual, which is a big advantage. They can link into loyalty schemes, gather feedback. Some even use AI to try and sense if you're happy or annoyed based on your text.
Okay, seems powerful. But they can be frustrating too. What are the limits?
They can feel really impersonal. No empathy. And they often struggle with complex questions or things they weren't specifically programmed for. Anything non-standard.
Yeah, if you ask 2 questions at once, they get confused.
Exactly. Limited conversation skills. Can't really handle nonlinear chat. And simple typos can throw them off completely. Or accents if it's voice-based.
And building a good one must be hard.
Very. Expensive and time-consuming for the business to develop a truly effective, sophisticated chatbot.
Right. Finally in the section, banking. Wow, that's changed massively. Far less need for branches now.
Huge shift to online and mobile banking. Apps let you do almost everything, check balances, see statements, pay people, even open accounts online now.
Using things like facial recognition for ID.
Yeah, that's becoming more common for verification.
The convenience for you, the customer, is undeniable. Access anytime, anywhere.
Less reliant on branch opening times. And the information is always live up to the minute. Really helps keep track of your money. Transactions are usually instant too.
And because you can check so easily, you're more likely to spot dodgy transactions quickly, right? So a security benefit for you.
Definitely. Quicker to notice if something's wrong.
And the banks save money. Fewer tellers needed.
Big operational savings. Staff can be moved to advisory roles, perhaps. The branches that remain can be redesigned, maybe feel less like just rows of counters. And fewer queues, generally.
What are the downsides here?
Well, again, internet issues, no connection, no mobile banking access.
Yeah.
It's also tough for people who aren't tech savvy or comfortable doing finances online.
Security risks, too. If your phone is lost or hacked.
Yeah, if you store passwords or sensitive info on your phone, that's a risk. And privacy concerns around facial recognition, people might not like their image being stored.
And fewer counters could mean.
Ironically, yeah, sometimes longer queues at the remaining branches during peak times if they've cut back too much.
Okay, that gives a great overview of those sectors. But underlying so much of this, especially for businesses, is this thing called cloud computing.
Absolutely. It's really the foundation for a lot of these transformations. At its simplest, the material defines it as specialist companies providing data storage and computing services over the internet.
So instead of having your own servers, you rent space and power from someone else.
Essentially, yes. And the benefits for businesses are pretty significant. Cost saving is a big one.
How so?
They don't need huge upfront investment in their own IT hardware, servers, constantly upgrading them. It's usually pay as you go, only pay for the storage and processing power you actually use.
That sounds flexible. What about security? Is it safe if your data isn't, in your building?
It seems counterintuitive, but the major cloud providers invest way more in security than most individual companies ever could. They encrypt data when it's moving and when it's stored.
Yeah.
Makes it useless to hackers, even if they got in.
Okay. And flexibility. You mentioned pay as you go.
Yeah. Need more storage suddenly, or more computing power for a big project. You can get it almost instantly from the cloud provider. Much faster and easier than buying and setting up new physical servers yourself. Gives businesses huge agility.
And mobility must be linked to that, accessing data anywhere.
Totally. Data in the cloud can be accessed from any authorized device with internet. Makes remote work and collaboration much, much easier. Teams can share and work on the same files seamlessly. Some platforms even have built-in social tools for teams.
The material also mentioned better control. How does that work?
Because data is centralized with the provider, often in a standard format, it can actually lead to fewer errors compared to managing lots of different internal systems. And it provides a clearer audit trail who accessed what, when.
And finally, insights. Getting more from the data.
Right. Cloud providers usually offer powerful tools for analysis. Businesses can track data, run reports, analyze performance, spot trends, helps them make better strategic decisions.
Okay, the source material breaks down the cloud into different types. First, the delivery models, how it's structured.
Yeah. 3 main ones. Private cloud is just for one single organization. It might be physically in their own data center or hosted externally, but totally dedicated to them.
Pros and cons.
Best for huge companies needing massive control, customization, top security. But it's the most expensive and needs skilled IT people to manage it.
Then public cloud.
This is where the provider's infrastructure, the servers, storage is shared by many different clients. Think economies of scale.
Benefits.
Huge scalability, pay as you use, much more affordable, especially for smaller businesses. The downside is less customization and maybe a slightly higher risk of downtime affecting you because it's shared.
And hybrid cloud. Sounds like a mix.
Exactly. It combines private and public. You might keep your super sensitive critical stuff on a private cloud, but use a public cloud for less critical things like website hosting or development work. Aims for the best of both worlds' flexibility and cost effectiveness.
So those are the structures. Then there are the services offered on the cloud. 3 main service models.
Right. They sort of build on each other. The most basic is infrastructure as a service IaaS.
What does that mean in plain English?
It's like renting the fundamental IT building blocks.
Hmm.
Some computing power, network access, data storage, pay as you use. The provider handles the physical machines, the data centers.
But you manage the software on top, operating systems, applications.
Exactly. You get the raw infrastructure. It's great for startups, avoiding big setup costs, or large companies wanting that raw flexibility to scale resources. Big names here are Amazon Web Services, AWS, Microsoft Azure.
Okay, next level up, platform as a service pass.
Here, you're renting the infrastructure plus the stuff needed to build and run your own applications like operating systems, databases, development tools. The provider manages all that underlying tech.
So developers can just focus on coding their app.
Precisely. They don't worry about managing servers or operating system updates. Examples are things like Google App Engine or Red Hat OpenShift.
And the most common one we probably interact with, even unknowingly, software as a service SaaS.
Definitely. This is where the provider hosts the entire software application for you, and you access it usually through a web browser. Think subscription services.
Like Google Docs or Salesforce or online email.
Exactly. You don't install anything, you just use the software over the internet. It includes the underlying IaaS and PS needed to run it, covers everything from office software to complex business systems like ERP.
So Dropbox, Zoom, things like that are all SaaS.
Yeah, we just use them without thinking about the cloud infrastructure behind them. And the material really stresses that the cloud, in all these forms, is here to stay. It's fundamentally changing how businesses work.
Wow, okay. That was a really comprehensive journey through the source material. We've gone from smart devices in our homes to tech in travel, retail, banking, and then right into the core of it with cloud computing.
Yeah, it's clear these technologies bring a lot of benefits, convenience, efficiency, new ways of doing things. But as we saw throughout, there's always a flip side. Costs, reliance on connectivity, and those persistent privacy and security risks.
It really makes you realize how interconnected everything is becoming and how much we and businesses rely on these systems working smoothly. Understanding that integration feels pretty crucial.
It does. And maybe a final thought, tying it all together for you, the listener, to consider. As we lean more and more on these incredibly complex, data-heavy systems, especially with the cloud enabling so much of it, how does that balance feel to you? The balance between, say, the amazing convenience and potential cost savings versus the very real risks, like privacy breaches or just being completely dependent on systems you don't control.
That's a heavy question. How does that trade-off shift for you personally, maybe professionally too? Definitely something to chew on as we all navigate this tech-driven future. We hope this deep dive gave you some valuable insights.